Hey guys, so today we're going to be undervolting the 3090. Why? Well, we'll get to that, but as you can see right now I'm running the Unison Heaven benchmark in the background, and you can see that the 3090 is getting around 1920 megahertz, and it's running around 72 degrees. I haven't been running benchmark for too long, probably around 10 minutes or so, just to get the system warmed up. You can see the CPU as well as the GPU and temperature, both in the overlay as well as MSI Afterburner. You can also see the total power draw for the graphics card right here. Board power draw around 380 watts. It can go down, or sometimes it hits 400 watts on the graphics card. Why do we want to undervolt the current 3000 series of graphics cards? Well, first of all, it draws a lot of power. Right now it's drawing 300 plus watts, up to 400, just running the old Heaven benchmark. Of course, it's not using any of the RTX cores or RTX cores to do so. So you could potentially get more than 400 watts of draw power just from the card. Why is that a problem? Well, it can get hot. Like this graphics card, putting that much wattage into your PC can heat up other components. Okay, so we have 390, 396, it hit 400 watts. And we see that our current temperature is around 75 Celsius on the GPU. Our CPU is also around 67, 66 Celsius. Now, because the graphics card is outputting that much heat in the case, my CPU also gets affected, unfortunately, even though I have two fans on it blowing exhaust. You can also see that our clock speed has decreased. It started from 1120, now it's bouncing around 1890 to 1905. And this can lead to a bit of stuttering in games where when the frame rate drops a bit or goes up a bit, and it might not be the best experience. So what I've done on my current setup is this. If we look at the FPS, we're getting 150. This is a preset I've already configured, which is, I believe, Profile 2 and Profile 3. So Profile 2 is more aggressive, Profile 3 is a bit more conservative on the voltage. But as we can see, I've limited the frequency to 1740, and we see that the temperature drops super fast, but our FPS also drops by around 10 frames per second. So we're trading between 150 to 140 frames per second. But the temperature goes down, well, almost 10 degrees so far. And I believe it'll stabilize around 64 degrees. So we're dropping our temperature by 12 degrees, but our frame rate also drops between 10 and 12 frames per second. So if you want to do this kind of trade, what I've done here, and also our board wattage is currently 259. So we're dropping from 400 to around 260, 250 watts board power. So in this, of course, I haven't tested if this is the highest stable overclock that I can get with the current wattage, or sorry, with the current wattage, board power wattage and voltage. But we'll do that right now. So in MSI Afterburner, what you want to do is click Control F to bring up the frequency board right here. And we'll just reset it back. Reset. So it should look like this for you. And it should like this for almost any graphics card you have. The 30 series graphics cards, what we want to do is bring the curve down and then manually hit that frequency target. So right now it is hitting 1900 at around 1 millivolt. .1018 millivolts. What we want to do is cut that significantly. 850 can probably get you around probably 1825 megahertz, maybe 1875. And what I went ahead and used, I believe it was, let me just jump to profile 3. I used 793.793 or 793 millivolts for this kind of frequency. So what we're going to do, let's reset it. We're going to reset it, and what we're going to do here is drop our core clock to minus 250, around minus 250. And then we're going to find the 793. We're going to find our 793 millivolts, and we're going to test the maximum stable frequency that this can run at. Keeping in mind that Heaven is running in the background. If it glitches out, we've gone too far. Then we need to reset and try again. So in this case, I'm going to raise it to, let's go 1708, and then we will hit apply. That should change our frequency target. And as you can see, Heaven is running stable in the background. What we want to do is continue this until Heaven is no longer running stable in the background. So you can go ahead and raise it up by 25 millivolts and click apply again. Just make sure that Heaven is running properly. Yep. 1750. 1750 looks like it is still running Heaven in the background. Yep. And then we're going to go to 1775. 1777, that's fine. Alright, it's hitting 1785. No crashes so far, which is good. 1816. 1816 is successful so far. 1826. Nope. Well, I saw a bit of a glitch there in Heaven. 18, although it is running 1815, it is running 1815. Check CPU, looks like it is fine. Looks like it's still running fine. What we want to do is make Heaven crash, so we're going to keep pushing it until it crashes. 1836. Let's see if that works. 18 no longer works. We are no longer working. So 1836 was too far. 1816 was also a bit too unstable. So for this clock, I might want to test 1800. For this voltage, 1800. If I get my voltage again, 793. So we're gonna drop the curve by 250, around 250. Just so that the reason that we're dropping the curve is so that these numbers over here are no longer the highest point. The highest point is going to be wherever we set our target. So if the highest point is you're setting is 17 and above, we need to make sure that the highest point on this side of the graph is also below 1700. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and go to 1800 and, well, 1800, click apply, and we're going to have to make sure that this is more stable. So we're going to click run on Heaven. It's opened on a different screen. There we go. And we're going to run that for quite a while. So at, again, I think my final numbers are going to be around 1800 at 0.793. Some other things you want to do is run some benchmarks that have ray tracing cores on. So it's not a requirement, but like play a game. If you don't have ray tracing cores, just play in a game, make sure that it's stable, make sure it doesn't crash, and then what you want to do is save this as a profile. So I'm going to have it as profile 4, just because I'm testing now the 1800 megahertz instead of 1740. Okay, so that's that. We're going to quit that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through some more benchmarks that is not Heaven, just to make sure that we are 100% stable on these. There we go, 90%. Oh, that's a problem. Uh-oh. Yeah, so that's a problem. It didn't finish. So I don't know if you saw it there, but basically the frequency tried to hit 1830 with turbo boost, even though we set the maximum 1800. So 1008 is not going to work. If it tried to increase it by 30 megahertz, I think we have to dial it back by 30. Which sucks, but unfortunately 1800 is not stable. So we're going to have to go to 1770. Yeah. 1770. So that's the frequency that we're going to target now. Just because it didn't finish the benchmark, it wasn't stable. And again, as you can see, it takes a while to do these kind of tests and to find a stable frequency. So maybe we want to add 3D Mark to the list of testing materials here. There are free versions that you can use to benchmark, but I believe they don't have free custom loop versions. You'd probably have to buy the software to get the customized runs. So. Alright, so that's, I can't see, but it's hitting 94% usage. That's looks about right. 43 FPS. That looks about right. 30. Let's see, we're hitting our 1770 megahertz. That looks about right as well. I remember I had 1080 an SLI and tried to run this demo. It didn't go so well. As you can see, we're hitting like 20 frames per second at the moment. But I am recording at the moment as well, so that could be a factor. Okay, so here goes the graphics test. That might have been combined, so with my current CPU, it's not gonna run as well. Oh, it's not displaying the there you go. So if you see in this test, it is clocking up past the limit of our prior set megahertz, so it's 1800. Was it 1800? Even though we set it at 1770. $1,075. It's still higher than what we set it to. So I think in these cases you basically have to hit what's the max stable overclock and then reduce it by like 30 or so, just so that it doesn't hit like spike all the way up to 30 megahertz higher and then crash. Again, 1800. But our GPU temperature is lower than our CPU temperature.
So we did get a score here. 13,691. Says he can play Battlefield 5, 130 FPS.